Welcome, it's SVPod. Red's in my lap, being harassed. Stanford Steve joins us from sunny Los Angeles, already out there in advance of the Monday Nighter. I was sad to learn Steve In-N-Out doesn't do breakfast.
No, well, we're getting close. I believe we could get a 10:30, 10:35. We could be the first person there, get that first fresh burger and the freshest fries you could get.
With just
gotta eat the fries first.
Correct. Salt in the bag, shake, and they're good. Stop harassing me, Red. Red, no.
Yep.
No. All right, so the rankings have just come out, and the headline is Notre Dame's not in the playoff, which is stunning to me. And I advocated for the head-to-head mattering because I think it has to matter if everything is relatively similar. And in the end, I guess it does. The committee set up a path whereby they use this bullshit explanation of if they're side by side in the end, then we'll compare them. And I guess that's what happened. There's obviously other things we're going to get to. When I saw Miami pop up on the screen, it was a literal out loud, wow.
Me too. Same reaction, because I said when we did our segment yesterday, I firmly believe they wouldn't change the order of two teams that were not playing. Now, you had a bunch of deals where, BYU got trucked. You didn't know what they were going to do. And everybody talked about they didn't penalize Georgia or they didn't penalize teams in the years previous for losing the conference championship game. Georgia dropped 4 spots.
They were unbeaten. They lost by 3 points. They were an absolute wagon, and they missed the playoff because they lost by 3 points.
And last year, SMU dropped 3 spots, but they were high enough where it didn't matter. So there was a
precedent,
a deal where that happened. But I'm just like you. I didn't think. I've said all along the head-to-head shouldn't matter. We've said it for months now. The biggest gripe I had at the beginning was they were too recency bias when the first rankings came out because Miami was all the way down at 18. You didn't know if there was going to be enough time for ground to make up. They hadn't lost since the rankings came out. They had lost 2 of the previous 3 weeks before the first release, so there was that. But I'm happy that they did that because I wasn't sure they were gonna, but I'm glad the head-to-head that it had to matter. Now everybody's gonna have every single conspiracy theory. You want to put resumes up, I'd go ahead. But I still look at Alabama as being more deserving than Notre Dame.
Well, that became a conversation on Saturday, and I'll get to that. I just want to stay in this Miami Notre Dame bit for the moment because you asked me. I want to say it's probably less than a month, but more than a couple weeks about Miami and Notre Dame, and I said head-to-head has to matter, and you said, who do you think has a better chance to win the playoff? And I said Notre Dame. I think the way they play and the way they're playing, I think they could win it, and I would believe it more. It seems more believable to me because I just fear Beck making the critical mistake as he did against Louisville and against SMU in their 2 losses. And so here's where I land with this. I think right now today, I think Notre Dame is more equipped to make a run in the playoff if they got in. But what I think can't trump what I know. And what I know is Correct. They played and they won. And yes, it was long ago. I get it. But it happened. And so if we end up side by side and we're comparing just them and them, then the head-to-head had to matter. But where I'm struggling right now is why has it got to be those two that we're comparing? Who says it's them? How is Alabama not part of this conversation? Somehow them getting beat by 2 touchdowns by a Florida State team that turned out not to be any good at all is almost like it didn't happen. And it's the same weekend that Notre Dame lost to Miami. That loss ultimately cost Notre Dame a spot in the playoff, And for Alabama, it's as if it never happened. Now, Alabama will say, now hold on. We went to Athens and won. That happened. Body of work, I get it. But you started and ended your season getting boat raced by a Florida State team that wasn't great and running for -3 yards and getting worked silly by Georgia. You're banged up. I get it. Is it we're not going to penalize teams that make it to a championship weekend? Then BYU's going, well, hold on now. Didn't we? Well, not really, because you weren't in before yesterday. You had a direct on-ramp, which was beat Texas Tech. And I looked at their body of work, and this morning I'm like, all right, so what was their best win? At Cincinnati, a really good Utah team. Okay. Arizona, as we know, that was a bad beat scenario for me because of winners and whatever. They were down 10 in the middle of the fourth quarter, ended up coming back and winning a game, and no one would have known that night that game was significant for BYU, right? But BYU's resume relative to Alabama's in terms of what's your best win, Bama had a better win, but BYU would say correctly, well, we don't have a loss like they got to Florida State. And so my point is just, we're not going to penalize Bama for getting to this weekend. Was BYU punished for getting to this weekend? Well, Bama was in before the weekend and BYU was not. So that's where that's different. But I really thought, I texted you that during the game. I said, I think Alabama might be in trouble. They're 9, so clearly they weren't in any trouble of any kind. And I guess what I'm saying is I just don't get that because I wasn't in the room. I would love to know what the answer to that would have been. Like 3 losses, a bad Florida State team, and you look awful yesterday. I don't know what was the counter to that. Yeah, but Athens, Vandy.
Yeah, it's the best win in the country.
True, and that's okay. I'm not saying that's not an okay answer. Is that really ultimately what it was? That's enough in a comparative with Notre Dame that lost by 1 on a fumbled snap and lost by 3 at Miami. Like if it became an Alabama-Notre Dame conversation, because all we did was Notre Dame-Miami. I never heard a Notre Dame-Alabama conversation, and I guess that's all I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, I think it's I don't have a problem with it because it's total body of work. There's really good wins on there. I mean, you're talking about Vanderbilt, you're talking about going to Missouri, you're going, you're up and down, and this is what happens. Notre Dame backs themselves in to no conference, and when non-Notre Dame fans are always going to point to those years where that schedule's where Army's down, Navy's down, all these teams that they play for whatever reasons, and it came back to bite them this year. I felt like they knew it.
What's their best win ultimately is a and that was a wild back and forth game where they lost the lead for a minute, then they ran a kickback and it was rainy and bizarre and blah blah blah, and they ended up winning by 10, significant to some. And go ahead.
When I started looking at BYU with Notre Dame, I'm like, BYU's resume is better. Beating Utah is better than beating USC. And then you factor in what Arizona's done at the back end. You go there and win.
And see, this is the thing that we do. We took it as Notre Dame and Miami and put them side by side as if that's the only conversation to have. This is a great exercise. Put BYU and Notre Dame side by side. You just said it. That Utah win, ultimately Utah's higher in the rankings than USC.
Yep. I've said for over a month now, a lot of people's feelings were going to get hurt. We are going to get scorched earth now. I mean,
Notre Dame not making the playoff is a problem because for all the conversation people can have about what our agendas and this and that and the other thing, which is exhausting, but I get it because college football fans are the most passionate and least rational. It's way better for business if Notre Dame's in your playoff because they're an incredible brand with an amazingly passionate following. So if some memo was passed around about talking points on SVPod as if any of our executives even know this fucking exists, if there were talking points, it would say, hey, Notre Dame's really good for ratings. Let's pump them up.
Yeah.
And I think they're really good. As I've explained, I think they could win the playoff. I just think common sense of the head-to-head had to trump that, which is why I said Notre Dame. But them not getting in, and this is the issue. There are only 12 spots. 2 of them are occupied by teams that cannot possibly win. We like the little guy. We like Cinderella and the NCAA tournament for the excitement of the moment where the upsets happen, and there have been some incredible ones. But I don't believe that anybody could be George Mason in this. There's just not a party crasher. Tulane already went to Oxford this year, got boat raced. Wasn't close. Had Tulane in winners. Did not cash. Everyone loves the JMU story. Good for PFT. Good for all my friends that got into James Madison, the one school that rejected me and should have. High test scores, marginal grades, screams lazy. I hold no grudge. Good for Harrisonburg. I had a niece that went there. I got a ton of friends that went there. It's awesome for them. But Tulane and James Madison occupying 2 of the 12 spots, that's 17% of your field, just math. And Notre Dame not being in. BYU not being in. We'll expand it based on your good point about compare those 2. Let's say you replace those 2 with Notre Dame and BYU. Do you have a better field? You do. You just do. Good for the stories, but like there's just too small a field for us to have feel-good stories, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or 2 of them anyway. At least 2 of them.
When the 12 was announced, and we follow it closely, we never thought that Arizona State and Boise State were going to get buys last year with the setup. Then this year, we didn't think 2 group of 6s were going to get spots in the playoff. Like, no one had that. So there is a method to figuring this thing out. And now, to your point, yes, there's going to be more teams. Joey, I thought, pointed out, he's like a 10-2 Vanderbilt team in the SEC.
I haven't even said their name yet. That's my bad.
We haven't even mentioned them.
That's my bad. Texas too. While we're at it, I mean, I get it. We've mostly looked at the first 2 out. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like that's never brought up when Alabama's resume is brought up. They beat Vanderbilt by double digits. In the middle of playing 4 ranked teams. So that Vanderbilt thing, I couldn't listen as much as I love it. And I think he deserves the Heisman Trophy. I didn't have him in the playoff. So the Texas thing, I couldn't get behind. I get it. You scheduled the game, but you still lost. You had the opportunity. You scheduled those games because of the opportunity, right?
And you lost to Florida.
Happened.
You lost
Correct.
to Florida. You guys conveniently would ignore that about, well, we shouldn't play Ohio State. You shouldn't lose to Florida. Yeah.
So every fan base is going to have their arguments. And to recircle, I'm still shocked that Miami is I have more of a problem at the top. I am.
Go ahead.
The idea that Ole Miss is ranked higher than A&M is I have a serious problem with. When you look at resumes, you look at strength of record or strength of schedule, Ole Miss is in the 40s. Also, if there's ever a way to tweak it, you got a rematch in Oxford. Just make A&M 6, and I mean they're more deserving in my opinion. And then make Ole Miss 7, and it's good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I thought it was. I didn't think at halftime. I'm like of last night, the Big Ten game. I'm like, all right, these teams are going to be 1-2. I had a feeling there, but now when you get a possibility, I haven't seen the bowl games yet, but Ohio State dropping to 2, losing that game. Are you going to possibly play A&M in Dallas and Georgia in Atlanta as a 2 seed? I don't know what's there's some finagling there because I was asking Georgia people. They were penciling them because SEC ties to the Sugar Bowl. I didn't know if Miami would or Georgia would rather go to the Orange Bowl, but I don't think they have control over that. That's another conversation after we get those announced. But the A&M Ole Miss thing, I did not like. So we have 2 rematches of all this deal. We have 2 rematches,
4 games, 2 rematches, one of which was a non-competitive game. The fact that that Ohio State loses means Georgia and Ohio State are on the same side of the bracket, which means they could meet after if Georgia were to beat the victor of Tennessee and Ole Miss, and the A&M Miami winner was knocked off by Ohio State. Though that path is early. It would be a semifinal game, not a title game. Texas Tech awaits the winner of Oregon, James Madison. Salute to Texas Tech. I saw someone tweet, made me laugh. Who says money can't buy you happiness? All you need is a billionaire that's motivated to want to go out there and spend in the portal, and well, looky here. We win our first Big 12. They were awesome. Defense was great again, so they get the winner of Oregon, James Madison. The Alabama OU rematch winner gets Indiana. I get that in the presence of a bracket and all there is to discuss, the Indiana result last night, I'm interested in what you felt was most, I don't know, eye-opening. What impressed most? What about that result do you think is most notable?
I didn't think it was eye-opening, but when you watched it, you're like, okay. And that was pressure on Julian Sand. We hadn't seen it all year. All year.
Indiana's defense, they impressed me a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
Because Ohio State's they bullied people. And I thought it was really telling, Steve. I get that 4th and 1, do you tie it? I trust that offense to get me a yard. And they went for a field goal and they missed it. That was a stunning decision, I thought, in real time. But it speaks to me, to Ryan Day watching 3.5, almost 4 quarters of football and saying, I don't love my odds against that Indiana front tonight.
Yeah. Talking to some former people that coached in Columbus, they were puzzled at the not going for it on 4th and 1. They brought up the fact that kicker missed the chip shot against Michigan last year, and maybe would have thought him not to leave it in that kicker's hands again.
Or foot.
That came up. As soon as Indiana got the ball, I just said, he's going for the kill shot when the 3rd down comes. You knew they were going to run it to make Ryan use the timeouts. You had the 2-minute in there. And I said, I'm telling you right now, he put Surratt to the short side. I thought it was going to be a fade stop or a stop and go, but he went to the other kid, 80. And I mean, Mendoza, after the first hit, like you're sitting, that whole building, it's like, oh, buddy. What? This isn't what we signed up for.
No, he looked like
10 championship game, and we're not going to have our leader.
No,
so give him credit.
Yeah,
he was a little excited after the game.
Good for him. He's supposed to be. It's the biggest win in the history of Indiana. What I loved about the play call is it was so reminiscent last year of the title game against Notre Dame, where we joked with Chip all last year, throw it to 4. Well, they trusted Mendoza to hit it, and he did. It's a perfect pass and a great contested catch. And last week when I said the game didn't mean anything, I meant relative to the bracket. Clearly for Indiana, it meant everything. It's the most significant win they've ever had, and they're now 1 in the playoff. I tweeted it out last night. When they hired Cignetti and they gave that man the mic at Assembly Hall, and he starts yelling that everyone sucks in a shitty sport coat and like 80s detective, like Rockford Files glasses. It looks like someone's crazy uncle. I'm like, holy shit, Indiana's just, they hired a crazy person is what they did. No, they didn't. They hired a ball coach. And in a portal era where if you're motivated, you can go out and get dudes, and they've done that. But as we've seen, what's Coach Saban say, Steve? If you get the wrong guys,
you're shit out of luck.
You get the wrong guy. Look at Kentucky basketball. 22 million, supposedly. They're a disaster right now. Doesn't mean they can't fix it, but right now, just there's an illustration of if you spend your money and it doesn't work out, you got no shot. Well, Indiana, with Cignetti, with funds, man, they beat Ohio State head-to-head, man. Like, you're the 1 seed for a reason. That's incredibly, incredibly impressive.
Indiana football, 13-0, number 1 in the country.
With potentially the Heisman winner. I mean, again, what I tweeted out wasn't hyperbole. They had the worst winning percentage in college football history among the power schools. The worst when Cignetti got there and started talking all reckless about the Big Ten. Well, here we are.
I found a clip of him at Big Ten Media Day from this year, and he was like, yeah, I figured I'd show up here because we're going to be playing here.
Sam Cassell, baby. Sam Cassell. He's that dude. Is there a thought looking at path outside of Georgia and Ohio State potentially meeting in a semifinal game? I mean, Texas Tech, Indiana would be a hell of an outlier too. I mean, while we're at it, I mean, Texas Tech wasn't Indiana in terms of being in the wasteland, but I always just dismissed them. I thought they played 7-on-7 football. Didn't bother with didn't bother playing defense for the longest. And that's a potential semifinal. The idea that Indiana, Steve's waiting on the outcome of Oklahoma and Alabama.
Yeah.
We'll let you guys play. We're over here. We're over here resting. Cignetti's got 3 weeks to get his guys humble and hungry.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess we're gonna double dip again. Also, for game day, Alabama Oklahoma is gonna be the Friday night game, the 19th. Miami A&M is gonna be the noon game, Saturday the 20th, and TNT will get Tulane, Ole Miss, and James Madison at Oregon.
All right.
We're talking last night just about the idea of how top heavy the Big Ten is, but the idea of seeing, like, the SEC gets 3 home games in this round. The SEC had 2 teams right outside the playoff. So it's totally different. I thought a couple of the recruiting guys on Wednesday on signing day made the point of, look at this. There's way more balance of teams that are in the top 30 that haven't been there, and teams that have been in the top 10 that haven't been outside the top 10, and now they're outside the top 10. So the top heaviness of the Big Ten versus the spread of the SEC, and then Miami getting in, it's just big time.
To follow that point, and Georgia, they looked the part yesterday. To say that they don't have a heavyweight, I'm not saying they don't have a heavyweight, but there were years, Steve, where the SEC felt like what the Big Ten is now with Indiana and Ohio State, where they had the heavyweights and everybody else was sort of looking up and going, I don't know. Who's the favorite odds-wise? I don't even know. I haven't looked. Nothing
Ohio
makes
State
me
plus 240.
Okay, nothing makes me sound older than trying to explain what that app is or saying the name of it. That's the predictive odd. What's it? Kalshi? Kelly? What's it called? That predictive market thing. That thing Kubek was talking about. Like it's the thing. It's the future. It's with a K.
Yeah,
Kalshi. Yeah. We'll be right back.
Not familiar, Fad.
I don't know what it is. It's a thing. People, you bet predictive. And it's the predictive market thing. It's been huge with elections. It wasn't Kalshi. It was just the predictive market. It's like recently with elections where when it tipped years ago, I'm talking like 16, when it tipped from Clinton to Trump was when everyone was like, holy shit, he's going to win the election. Well, at like 11:50 today, Notre Dame being in on that was like minus 3,000. And I figured, all right, so somebody in the room texts somebody in the room, and then it's one way or another, somebody hears something. Well, that wasn't it. So I just was curious what the predictive markets say about who the favorite is, and you just told me it's Ohio State.
Alabama's a 1.5-point favorite. James Madison is getting 21.5. Tulane plus 16.5. Yeah. Miami plus 4.
A lot of respect there in College Station.
Yeah, they are totally forgotten about. I kind of like
who A&M
is. Yeah,
right. You lose things.
Going back to the Big Ten thing.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Of saying getting pressured, we hadn't seen it all year, and different guys react when that happens. I think we saw it with Marcel Reed against Texas. Trinidad Chambliss. What can we see that in the playoff? How's he going to react? And how's that whole team and program going to do? So there's plenty of interesting deals. So I just wish we didn't have the rematches in the first round. That's all. But we got them.
Yeah. I'm
toes going to meet leather.
Sure. Put 60 on the clock. Off we go. In review, I think Miami had to benefit from the head-to-head. I can't fathom that the ND graphic isn't on that logo, isn't on that thing. And as you say, I think, had Bama not gotten in, you'd have seen it scorched earth. You'd have seen conference championship games become, I think, in peril. If Sankey lost a playoff team because of a result there, that's when you just go, well, fuck it, we won't go to Atlanta. As much as Atlanta means,
no doubt, doubt that was gone.
Everybody goes to Destin and talks about what first? Atlanta. You want to get to Atlanta. If going there ultimately cost Bama, then you just say, well, we're not doing that. I said it on One Big Thing the other night. Like, eventually, I don't know how those things make sense moving forward anyway, when largely, like for BYU, you win, you get in. I understand the merit there. But when you're a team like Alabama was, it seemed that the only thing that could happen to you was negative, but it didn't. They looked as bad as they could possibly look, albeit injured. But I'm sorry. You get beat like that by a team that's in the playoff. You're not saying we're playoff worthy at all. But you're playing a game that Ole Miss didn't have to play, that Vanderbilt didn't have to play, that whomever. So whatever.
The biggest thing to me, Scott, is the process by which the committee went. And this whole talk all week
was
about...
that, Steve?
That's what I want to get to here. The whole idea going into yesterday was they couldn't compare Miami and Notre Dame because BYU was in between them. That's a crock of crap. Like, just do it. So now, when you have this field set, now you are just setting yourself up. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But all you're going to be doing is explaining how you go about things. And if you just did that, then people would have a better understanding.
But no, they wouldn't.
It's not like you're trying to pull a fast one. You're waiting until everything's done. And this idea that now that every resume is done and people throwing out Boise State winning the Mountain West helps Notre Dame's resume. I didn't believe that. They beat them. Who cares if they won it? It was computers put Boise State and UNLV in the game. New Mexico beat both teams. They weren't in. San Diego State beat them. Like that was too much. But the idea of how they go about this, I think, is the biggest problem. And going back to what we talked about last week, announcing them, beginning of November, I don't see a benefit there.
Because you can never explain it, because what you apply in one circumstance, you won't apply in others. There is no one size fits all. It's not like a key that has the right answers. Because what you're going to apply, if you're going to apply it specific to Miami and Notre Dame, well, are you applying it the same idea to a 3-loss Alabama team? You're not. It's not one size fits all. And when you go on TV and you try to explain it, and then you say something, it's sort of like the internet never forgets. It's like, well, you said this, and then you turn around a week later and do something that flies 180 degrees in the face of that. So, I mean, there's a point to be made that the whole TV show thing, it's great for us, I suppose, because it's fodder for the engine. But it's horrible for the committee because it puts them in a place where, unless you've got someone who talks for a living that's really great talking around things, well, I don't mean disrespect to anybody that's been in that spot, but you're just not equipped to explain it in a way that's going to be digestible or make sense or stand up over time. Other than that, it's a great idea.
When Miami popped up, as you said, I yelled. And it was because I did not think they were going to flip them with both those teams not playing. That's what I thought that was set, and that wasn't the case. So
off we
good
go.
Luck explaining. What do we got scenarios today? You got fantasy scenarios?
Yeah, there's some, and there's games and they're happening. So we're going to go watch them and keep tabs. Start firing up apps. get on Kalshi. What do you? How's that work? Where do you? How do you win? What do I do?
Here's my money. How do I win?
Here. What do I go and do? Is there a thing?
I got to the hotel last night, and we got to check in on Gordo. Gordo was taking a trip down to Huntington Beach.
Was he? Just to survey the scenarios?
Yeah, he's not familiar with the grounds. I told him that's way too far to go. You have everything you have where we are.
Tell him to call Rosillo. He'd love to have company. See if Rosillo will take him out on the boat. Old Captain Rosillo. Take him out to Montecito.
Wow, that new mentor.
That'd be a great mentor. You could do way worse than that. Uncle Rye.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Look at the Titans up early on the Browns. Go get them, Titans. All right. We got games, got results, got things happening in the NFL. We're going to keep tabs on that. When are we doing a pod again? You're flying back Wednesday?
I don't know.
TBD.
I'm not back Wednesday.
I know.
Yeah.
So a TBD pod on this. We'll see you for Monday Night Football.
Inside. You happy?
Yeah, because I won't have the red nose like an internal nose zit or New England. Did you get your nose waxed? You're in L.A. I'm sure they got nose waxaterias on every corner.
I got an appointment for Friday.
Oh, this is great. You should live stream it.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think anyone needs to see that. But you're going in.
Yeah. You want to come?
I kind of do, because I went and took a look, and I'm like, damn.
I think it's right near your house, too, so.
Maybe. I'll let you go first, and then you tell me, is it terrible?
I'm the guinea pig.
That's, kind of.
Yeah.
You're the lead blocker. We'll you put your head in there, see if it gets kicked in or not.
Did you go to the ball last night?
Sure I did. I had the
make curfew?
Hold on. So my wife ran a marathon because she's an absolute rock star with a friend who's run a marathon in 35 states, which is, I think, I don't know. Incredible, yes, but also, wow. I just don't know how you have that level of discipline. So anyway, that means it's me and the kids. Daughter has a slumber party, okay? So that means when I leave the house, I got daughter in charge with the two boys. The two boys know what they're supposed to do. I said, I'm going to go make an appearance. I'm coming back. You need to be teeth brushed, pajamas, ready to go, 9:30. 9:30. That's a late one for them. That's what we got. Uh-huh. My daughter's in charge. I text on the way back. I'm on my way home. Boys ready? No response. I can only imagine what I'm walking into. Walk into the house.
Rage building as you were driving?
Not rage. It's my lovely daughter, Steve. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping for the best. I'm anticipating exactly what I see. Walk in the house, kitchen, shit everywhere. Decided we'd make fudge, evidently. There are bowls in the sink that are filled with all manner of baking things. Oh, great. I hear screaming in the basement. Fantastic. Come down, it's like Lord of the Flies. Charlie's got no shirt on in his underwear, jumping on a trampoline. I look at Sam. Sam just gives me that, oh, shit, look. He's got the sticks in his hand. He's fired up the college game. I see my daughter with her friend, and because she's having a sleepover, I don't want to blow up the spot and embarrass her in front of her friend and be like, you are in charge here. If I text you, I have to be able to connect with you. What are we doing? They were supposed to be not basically nude, jumping on the trampoline and playing Colorado State and Army. No listening. No, not now. Again, we got the boys in order. I just gave them the look. The look is effective. And the disappointment. You realize how that lands.
Did you give the enough?
I didn't give enough. I realized that this lands very heavy. I'm very disappointed. And you see the middle one go. He does not want to disappoint Pops. Puts the sticks down, off the game goes. He just marched. Charlie's like, I don't know what time it is. Don't you? There's a clock right there. It's a fair point. But then again, we pull Big Sis aside a little later. It's solo just to say, listen, if you're in charge, you got to be in charge. I have to be able to get in touch with you. I'm pretty sure what I did is breaking some law. I don't think I'm allowed to leave 4 children in the house in charge of themselves. And there was no response of any kind. And so I've looked at the Ring cameras. I know nothing dire has happened, but I know what's happened.
No
I didn't know fudge had been made, and I didn't know that it'd be Lord of the Flies in the basement. But that's what I walk in. And I was literally, Steve, I made, it was a crop dusting. Walked around, kissed some cheeks, looked lovely. Oh, it's so great to see you. Happy holidays. See my guy Johnny Fat. Great little band there playing. And I'm out the door. I'm round trip like it's an hour and a half. Like I didn't even get to, no cocktails, no nothing. Just trying to make an appearance. Get back, bedlam. I need to rule with an iron fist. I don't possess that, Steve. No. I'm a softie. This just in.
I don't know if you could buy it either.
No, yeah, exactly. What do you want for Christmas? An iron fist, a will, a backbone to stand up in the face of my children's insubordination. They weren't insubordinate. They just were having fun, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly. Clean some stuff up. You can't. Because my wife thinks I'm unable to handle the situation. And when she gets back, I need the house to not look like it was, So I gotta prove it to myself, though. I think first that I can do it.
There you go. Yeah, a little self-pride.
All right. Show goes on. Have fun in LA. We'll see you Monday night. Eagles, Chargers. Yeah. All right. Congrats to all that made the playoffs. I'm sorry for all the folks that didn't. Obviously, it's our fault. Not me and Steve in particular, but our place. Because we hate your team and we do whatever we can to prove that. I'm sure. Happy holidays. We'll see you at a point to be determined. Bye-bye.